The new Black Wall Street. Do it right, build wealth, live life, economic empowerment, real tips, insight on the new Black Wall Street. Yeah. It's on the new Black Wall Street. He's your host.
Hey, Grand Rising to you, billionaires. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the new Black Wall Street as we present to you guys the Money and Power Show. I'm your host, ERGJ, your certified financial educator, CEO of ERGJ Enterprises, ERGJ Black Bazaar, and international best-selling author of the book, The Black Billionaires Club. The book that I wrote, guys, is a study of Black wealth. It's a study of the 12 richest Black people in the world today and how they built their wealth. And I just truly believe that if you want to be wealthy, that's a big if, by the way. But if you do, I recommend that you study wealthy people. Well, I got some action here today. I don't know. Let's see here. What's going on? Phyllis is in the house. Mona. Well, you can pick up your copy of the Black Billionaires Club and start your study by simply going to the website www.theblackbillionairesclub.com, www.theblackbillionairesclub.com. You'll find that link in the description above or below. Pick up your copy today. Today's episode has been brought to you by ERGJ Black Bazaar, the Afrocentric marketplace, which specializes in Afrocentric home decor, personal care products, and then also Black art-inspired gifts. Here at ERGJ Black Bazaar, you can find all types of stuff. We got electronics we just added. We do have your COVID-19 fashion. We got CBD products as well. Oh, we need to bring that up here as a category. Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna switch some stuff around, add that as well. We do have that available also here today, man. Pick up your CBD products, your masks, your fashion masks, all that good stuff, man, here at ERGJ Black Bazaar. We want to make sure that you guys remember this, that once you shop Black, that's right, man, once you shop Black, you never go back. Once you shop Black, you never go back. Check out the website, www.theblackbazaar.com, www.theblackbazaar.com, and shop Black with us, buy Black with us, keep it in the family, group economics, all that good stuff here at ERGJ Black Bazaar. Now, I want to go back to our first screen because today is Friday, and I always like to have fun on Friday. Go ahead and let us know where you're connecting from, what city, what state, what state. Let us know where you're connected from here this morning as we like and share and let people know we got some free financial education, free political education, I guess you can say as well, here today on the New Black Wall Street, the Money and Power Show. Queen Phyllis is in the house. Thanks so much for joining us here today. Queen Mona is in the house. Thanks so much for joining us here today. Queen Jennifer is in the house, and Queen Tiffany, thanks so much. Now, look at this. Make sure you are not the weapon formed against yourself that's caused you not to prosper. And this is a theme, I think, for today, because I wrote earlier as well. I said, man, as a leader or as a go-getter or a go-giver, I think it's important that you understand that most people are not going to get out of their own way until they want to, until it's their timing. And as a leader or as a go-getter, as a go-giver, you and I must learn to keep it moving. Everybody put it down, so keep it moving. Here's the thing. Now, it's a very delicate subject because there are some people who say, no, I'm going to slow up for this person to be able to help them along the way. And then you find yourself frustrated because you simply can't. The hardest thing to change is someone else's belief, to change someone else's mind. But I also see that if you keep it moving, this is just what I've learned. If you keep it moving, it either disrupts them to the point where they want to move with you so they'll be more apt to change, or that's just you watered and somebody else is going to plant. Keep it moving. Like, you got things to do. You got people to see, right? You have lives to change. And I know we want to change every life that we come across, every soul we want to save. But God says stuff like this: if they do not receive or if they reject, wipe the dust off your feet. That's what God says, and keep it moving, right? and keep it moving. Wipe the dust off your shoes and go to the next door, go to the next house, go to the next customer, go to the next client. So I believe that what God is simply saying as well is, here's the best way for you to handle rejection. How many guys have a hard time with rejection? The best way to handle rejection is you have made an advance to a particular customer or a particular organization, or you're trying to land a big contract and they say no. What does God say? Wipe the dust off your feet and keep it moving. Wipe the dust off your feet and keep it moving. Now we see also where there have been some companies that they were the weapon that they formed against themselves to not prosper, i.e. Blockbuster. They didn't want to pivot with the time. And now we're starting to see Macy's is probably going to be going out of business soon. JCPenney is going to be going out of business soon. These companies, they were weapons, they were weapons that were formed against their own prosperity, because they refused to pivot, they refused to change, they refused to evolve. What worked for them 200 years ago or 150 years ago or 50 years ago, they think is going to still work for them today. It's a different time. Same principle, different procedures, and you get different results. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. So make sure that you are not the weapon formed against yourself that's causing you not to prosper. Now, I don't know who this is for, but it's for somebody. For you to really take a look at yourself, look at your inner self, and ask yourself, what have I been doing to keep myself from prosperity? What have I been engaged in? What have I accepted as a truth, but is really a lie? And I've tricked myself into poverty. And I've tricked myself out of prosperity. And I literally am my own weapon of mass destruction when it comes to my life. Well, thank God that he sent a man to help you to fix that today. Thank God he sent a man to help you fix that today. Miss Phyllis, good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us. Hey, Mona, what's going on? Happy Friday to you out of KC, Missouri. What's going on? Good morning to you. Tiffany is in the house. Good morning to you. Tequila. Tequila. I want to drink some tequila. What's going on, Miss Tucker? How are you? Grand rising to you, man. Mr. King Setley is in the house. Thanks so much for joining us. Hey, we're going to get into this political side as we have our political piece this morning, as we are reading from the book Black History Reader by Mr. Dr. Claude Anderson. And this is a book that subtitled 101 Questions That You Never Thought to Ask. And this question is pretty interesting today. The question that he's going to be answering for us today is, what is the difference between a Black American and an African American? What's the difference between a Black American and an African American? So let's find out what Dr. Claude Anderson has for us here today on the Money and Power Show. Well, let's read. What is the difference between a Black American and an African American? The terms Black American and African American are not equivalent or interchangeable, although they are generally but erroneously considered as such by whites and some native Blacks. Black Americans are born in America and are descendants of slaves. African Americans is the term most accurately applied to a person born in Africa that has relocated or migrated to America. In reality, each term is derived from totally different cultural, language, political, religious, and racial experiences. Any group is a sum total of its unique experiences, which dictate the way group members see themselves in this world. 99% of all Black people in America are descendants of slaves who were born in America. Their only connections to Africa are the oral stories told to them by their parents and grandparents, which faded with each generation. They have no personal connection to Africa, and not one country on the African continent ever sent a single vessel to this country to rescue any of the millions of Blacks who were kidnapped, enslaved, killed, and psychologically crippled. Enslaved Blacks in America were decultured and forced to devise their own survival skills and attitudes. These enslaved persons and their offspring were stripped of everything and forced to adapt and survive under the most inhumane conditions for over 360 years. During that period of time, they developed their blended culture and emerged as Black Americans, no longer Africans. Black Americans are totally unlike any other human on this earth. They are a combination of cultures and uncommon experiences. Therefore, the group is special and exception. Some avoid the term black because they do not want to identify with the negative and evil historically associated with the word by whites and other groups. Some blacks shun self-identification by color because it means being less than a full human, stripped of all honor and subjected to all forms of white rule and power. They allow others to frame their thinking of the label or the word black. Those who avoided blackness, in effect, have surrendered their greatest strength and badge of identity. Black Americans are unique. Everybody put in console, I am unique. The enslavement process stripped blacks of their Africanness and forced them to forget together their own unique culture. It is so unique that it is copied, mimicked, and appropriated by non-blacks all over the world. Many blacks, non-blacks, and especially conservatives prefer the term African American. It is a term that removes race from the race-based dilemma and redirects focus to a culture. African American is a less specific term than black, just as substituting terms like minority, people of color, and poor people is less threatening than the term black. The term African American obfuscates, dilutes, and erases the unique history of blacks in this country. Blacks should never be equated to African American or other groups without minority classes. Using the term African American is an example of changing black problems to a minority solution. Since all life began in Africa in the broadest sense, the label African American can be applied to any human from any place on earth that migrates to America. Once they establish residence in America, they can legitimately claim to be African American. Black exceptionality is a fundamental key to unlock the doors leading to group self-improvement, recognition, respect, and appreciation for their own contributions to the socio-economic development of this nation to which they are entitled as special people. They must distinguish themselves by claiming their exceptionality as Black Americans, just as Europeans in the 1680s distinguished themselves by officially labeling themselves white Americans instead of pilgrims or Puritans. The label white distinguished them thereafter. Due to the fact that the masses of blacks in America are totally ignorant of Africa, they identify with the African American label only out of love and respect for black people residing on the African continent. In physical and genetic makeup, they are as far from being African blacks as they are from being European whites. There are enormous differences in the experiences of a black person born and raised in America versus an African born and raised on the African continent. Native blacks in America were stripped of their Africanness centuries ago when their ancestors were transported to the Americas. It was at that point that the difference began. Blacks were forced to create and fabricate a culture that blended the various African tribal backgrounds with the American culture they found here. Being enslaved in America was a very different experience than being colonized on the African continent. African blacks were not stripped of their culture, not stripped of their languages, not stripped of their families, not stripped of their relatives, not stripped of homeland, not stripped of their communities, not stripped of religion, and not stripped from a sense of peoplehood. Where, on the other hand, Black Americans were stripped in all respects, reduced to the level of field animals and treated as a disposable property. Consequently, African blacks who visit or migrate to the United States, since they are different from native blacks, and tend to express a degree of superiority over the descendants of slaves. They are different. They came here voluntarily, have homelands and relatives in Africa with whom they identify and communicate, and they have a place to return whenever they so choose. Americans recognize the difference also and accord greater respect to African visitors and dignitaries than to native blacks. And in fact, it was not unusual prior to the civil rights movement in the 1960s for some Black Americans to dress in African garb to pretend to be African visitors or dignitaries just to garner greater respect from white Americans. Using unspecific terms like African American obscures the unique history of blacks in America and can have harmful effects similar to what happens when the term minority or people of color or poor people are used instead of black. A lawsuit filed by the Pakistani who applied for the African American Banneker Scholarship at the University of Maryland in the 1990s demonstrates the folly of imprecise language. Imprecise language. Everybody put in console, language is important. Language is important. The university denied him a scholarship because the recipients had to be African American. The Pakistani student filed a lawsuit charging the university with discrimination. The student's case was based on a very simple but reasonable explanation. Pakistani student said he lived in Africa before migrating to the United States and considered himself African. Now that he lives in America, he is an African American. The Maryland Supreme Court agreed and ruled in the student's favor, awarding him $150,000. The message of Native blacks is a caution. In circumstances where a race label is necessary, do not permit the use of broad and ambiguous terms to define you. The school did not meet its goal of providing scholarships for the specific purpose of attracting black students. The school's needs were specific, but the term African American was not. It expanded the target group in an impressive way. Had the school used the term black, the Banneker Scholarship Fund would have had an additional $150,000 to distribute towards worthy black applicants. The distinction between blacks and African America is important. Blacks came here as Africans, but what they experienced in this country made them different. They were stripped of everything, their culture, their language, their religion, right to the benefit from their own labor. They were not acknowledged as humans and were denied the expression of natural human longings. They could not love, they could not protect, they could not plan for their families. Blacks endured these experiences, all the while their labor drove the economic engine that built this nation. Withstanding and surviving these experiences became the badge of courage that distinguishes Native blacks from any other group in America. These experiences signify the country's indebtedness to them. There may be a difference in the terms of and historical. There may be a difference in the terms and historical experiences, but the two groups are genetically linked. It is imperative, therefore, that Native Black Americans support and recognize Africa, the birthplace of mankind, and strive to protect its people and material resources from further abuse and exploitation by foreign entities. Whew. Black History Reader, a book written by Dr. Claude Anderson. It's the same Dr. Claude Anderson who wrote Powernomics, the same Dr. Claude Anderson who wrote Black Labor, White Wealth. And I believe he's coming from a political side here with this book as he's asking questions, giving answers, and really trying to give us something to think about, right? Something to think about. Man, what is the difference between a Black American and an African American? And I thought that was very fascinating that a Pakistani used his upbringing in Africa and then moving to United States and saying, well, now I'm an African American. Wow. What people will do for money. Yikes. All right, now I'm an African American. All right, let's see what you guys doing in the comments here. We'll catch up, man. Peace and blessings to you, King Amari. I am unique. Good morning to you. Queen Vivian is in the house. Thanks so much for joining. Language is important. Language is important. Language is the one thing that connects people. All right, King Amari said, we're not Black or American. I'm Akan and Yoruba. Black isn't a nationality. We are what we are. Before we were brought over here or before the European labeled us as Negro, Black, or Afro-American. Europeans called this continent America. American or America. Absolutely. And then we have it was very interesting as well, this continent being North America is the continent, right? Then you got South America. And then North America is made up of United States and Canada or whatever else might be connected to it. Very interesting stuff. Very, very interesting stuff. Labeling names, naming things. But it's two different continents. I wonder what South America got its name from. Oh, it kind of making me think now. But anyway, let's keep this party going, guys. Of course, as you guys know, we're going to continue along into the richest man in Babylon. But before we do that, I want to do a quick little stock market update for you guys. See if there's anything that we need to know as we head into Mother's Day weekend, by the way. So I don't know if I'm going to see some of you guys moving forward after today. If not, to all of our mothers that are out there, happy Mother's Day to you in advance. I hope that that you have a wonderful time with your family, and you are giving the honor where honor is due for all that you do for your family and for the community as well. Happy Mother's Day. All right. So as you guys may know, this is what I want you to notice today as we look at this news and we look at what's really going on. You're going to see the news like have all of this negative stuff like employment, unemployment, 3 million more unemployment, right? Healthcare spending is actually plunging, right? He has a successful audio engineer who is on food stamps. Like all of this stuff is like negative stocks, negative news, which will get you, thinking that, the sky is falling, right? But what I find interesting is as we get past the news, right, we get over here to the money. And we're like, well, what does the money say? Because again, I'm telling you, follow the money. The money says, okay, everything is all right. The news says, the sky is falling. Money says everything is all right. The news says the sky is falling. Money says, man, everything is all right. The news says sky is falling. You see how there's a contradiction from this very same site where we have, almost a 1% jump for the Dow yesterday, 1.5% jump for NASDAQ yesterday, S&P 500 up 115% yesterday, or 1.15% yesterday. This is good news in the market. How many guys looked at your portfolios yesterday and you saw that you actually made some money yesterday? Your whole portfolio was kind of up yesterday. How many guys saw that yesterday? I just find this fascinating. What's going on, man? Grand rising to you. The news is all negative. Grand rising to you. Loki Slick Saucy is in the house. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not even showing this on. My bad. I guess I need to hit the. Okay, there we go. My bad, guys. Y'all want to go say nothing? So notice this. The news is bad. I'm sorry. The news is bad. Then the money is good. News is bad, right? Global stocks. April was probably the worst month for United Job. That's bad news. Money is good. News. Uber reports lost 2.9 billion. That's bad. But here's the market. Good. So you see the difference between the two. That's why I say do not listen to the news. It's listening to the news, unless you learn how to interpret what's being said, it's not going to lead you to riches. It's not. Okay? It's not. It's not going to lead you to riches. What's going on? Oh, portfolio jumping, Steven? That's what I'm talking about, man. Hey, that's what's going on. Hey, that portfolio jumping. So we see yesterday, we saw yesterday again, Norwegian Cruise Lines was up 8%. Baker Hughes, which is a gun company, up 8.5%. AIG, I think that's insurance. Kohl's, which is retail, is all up. And then you have Pfizer, which is down 4%, which I believe used to be in the Dow. You see all this negative stuff over here. The oil is up 1% at $25 a barrel now. Gasoline is $1.88 across the country. That's down a quarter. Silver is at $15.78. $15.78 per ounce of silver. Right now, you have the Nasdaq. Look at this. The Nasdaq has really recovered. Remember, we had a big drop. Everything was down 20-30% for the year. Nasdaq has actually recovered. Nasdaq represents all of your technology stocks in the Nasdaq. Nasdaq represents Netflix. Nasdaq represents, or represented inside of the Nasdaq is Netflix, is Amazon, Alibaba, Google, right? All of these tech companies are in the Nasdaq. So no wonder why, because that's what we were using, technology, in order to still operate while we were, shelter in place or quarantine. So it makes sense that technology is continuing to thrive. And look at the lead, though. If you're just in the Nasdaq, you're at 0%, and the next closest is the S&P at down -11%. But you're actually have a tech-heavy portfolio, and you're doing just fine. Matter of fact, we're all just doing just fine, but just noticing, like, wow. So one thing could be relatively flat, and another thing could be 10-11% down. And hopefully, what we got is we got a whole bunch in this not a whole bunch, but we're heavy in technology in our portfolios. I find that interesting. That's right. Jennifer said, follow the money. That's right, Jennifer. Follow the money. Business owners, please ensure that you get your EIN, register your businesses with your state. You can't receive the money if your business isn't legally established. Absolutely. Get your EIN. We'll talk about that. That's one thing we'll be talking about today, guys. So for many of you guys that may be in the BBC and you're starting to, generate some type of cash flow, it is important that you put your ducks in a row. You do what's necessary to protect yourself. And part of protecting yourself is to make sure you go through the proper steps to form a legitimate business. And so here tonight at 8:30 tonight for the BBC, we will be talking about Your Biz First. And that's what she'll be presenting to you guys, some things to consider as this might be your first business. You might be your first venture. And you want to make sure you put yourself in the right position, okay? So I just found it interesting. And then money's moving back into the market. So we have 41 there, which is showing still a little bit more greed than fear, but moving into the neutral state where we're going to see which route is going to go from there. So that's a quick look at the stock market. I'm not going to go too much further because I really want to get into the richest man of Babylon, which is what we've been going through here, what we have been going through, what we'll continue to go through here until we get through the book. Okay, so when we last left off in The Richest Man of Babylon, again, this is a book that was written back in 1926. This is a book that I recommend everywhere I go. It's a book that we have coming in, so you can actually order it if you want to get a copy. We will have copies probably within the next week. So you can go ahead and order, and we'll get it out to you as soon as it get out. It's only a $10 book. But that $10 book is something that if you read it and you apply it, it'll help you to make sure that you're never broke a day in your life. Yeah, it's the kind of book that if you read and you apply, right? If you read to learn, if you read to understand, and then you implement, you act, you do what it tells you to do. It's literally a book that can put you in a position where you'll never be broke a day in your life. Now, the main character of the story is Arcad, who is the richest man of Babylon. And he had friends that he went to school with, friends that he played PE with, friends that were just like him when he was in high school, but he turned out different. And they wanted to know how. How did he become so wealthy and yet they're still average? And he talks about, well, and I met a money lender and he began to teach me and check up on me. And the last time he had a task, or last time the money lender came and checked on him, he had been saving a part of all that he earned. So he's saving 10% of everything that comes to his hand. He had enough savings that he then went and became a lender of his money. So now he was getting interest paid to him versus him paying interest. And then that last piece that he said was, hey, well, now that I'm doing well with money, let me go spend some money on myself, right? Let me go get the new car. Let me go get the new outfit, all this stuff. And so when his money mentor came and said, well, what happened to the rest of your money? He's like, well, here's what I bought. Here's what I bought. Here's what I bought. And the money lender laughed because he said that you basically are eating your children's children. You're eating your children's children when you don't allow those pennies, nickels, or dimes go back out into the field and bring you more money. So let's pick up there in The Richest Man of Babylon by Mr. George Clayson. So again, he said, man, I had a feast with the honey and the fine wine. I ate good. I also had bought for me a scarlet tunic. I wore great clothes. And someday I'll buy a young ass upon which to ride. I'm going to get me a new car. To which Algames, who was the money lender, laughed. He said, you do eat the children of your savings. Then how do you expect them to work for you? And how can they have children that will also work for you? First, get thee an army of golden slaves. Everybody put in the console, get me an army. First, let me take this off because it's going to get hot up in here. First, before you go buy the new car, before you start eating that Ruth Chris, before you start shopping at Nordstrom's, just because you came into a little money, first, get you an army. Now today, that army what we would call multiple streams of income. But first, get you an army. Before you go buy the new car, before you take the extravagant vacation, and you could say to yourself, I can afford it. But before you do that, before you go buy all the new clothes and get you a new wardrobe. Now, he didn't say don't get it. He just said before you get it, first, get you an army. Get you an army of money slaves. First, get you an army. And then many a rich banquet may you enjoy without regret. If you get you an army, then when you do go buy all the fancy stuff, you'll never regret it because you truly could afford it. and you got a whole army working for you. Get you an army. Saying that, again, he went away. Made a statement. He dropped the mic. He left. Nor did I again see him for 2 years. This is now the student. When he once more returned, his face was full of deep lines and his eyes drooped, for he was becoming a very old man. And he said to me, Arcad, have you yet achieved the wealth you dreamed of? Have you gotten rich? Whatever you define as rich, have you reached that yet? And I answered, not yet. All that I desire, by putting counsel on not yet. I like that two words. When I ask you, man, have you arrived? Have you built all the wealth that you want to build? Have you gotten to that number yet? Not yet. I'm on my way, but not yet. Not yet. All that I desire, but some I have, and it earns more, and its earnings earn more. Okay, and then do you still take the advice of the brick makers? Well, about brick making, they have good advice, I retorted. Arcad, he continued, you have learned your lessons well. You first learned to live upon less than you could earn. Next, number 2, you learn to seek advice from those who are competent through their own experiences to give it. And lastly, you have learned to make money work for you. Let's go through these 3 lessons that the moneylender or the wise man in wealth or the rich dad went through and taught his student. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So the teacher, the money mentor, through experience and through life, and this is over a 4 or 5 year period, right? He left, came back after 12 months. He left again, came back after another 12 months. Gave him a whole year to figure it out. First lesson. Number 1, if you would become wealthy, the very first thing you got to learn how to do. If you don't learn step 1, all the other steps don't matter. The first step you got to learn how to do is learn to live upon less than you can earn. Live on less than you earn. If you don't do that, you'll always be broke. And when I say broke, it doesn't mean that you're not living off credit, because you might feel like you're doing well, although you got a whole bunch of debt because you're living off credit. No, I'm talking about credit free. Not that you can't use credit for business stuff. I'm talking about where there are no regrets. Learn how to live off of less than you earn. Learn how to live off of less than you earn. Learn how to live off of less than you. That's the very first lesson. Very first lesson. And notice the lesson had to be actually worked on. So I taught the lesson as the moneylender. I left. I said, okay, you got the lesson. Let's see how you do with that lesson. Because I don't need to give you lesson 2 and lesson 3 until we see how you do with lesson 1. Have you learned how to live off of less than you earn? He had a whole year to figure that out. And he did. Number 2, if you would become wealthy, learn to seek advice from those who are competent through their own experiences to give it. Now, this is why you might hear me get on network marketing just a little bit. Not that it's bad or whatever. I just say, are you listening to people who have lived it through their own experience, or do they got to call the upline? They ain't got no experience, so they got to call the upline, right? So you don't need to be listening to them. You need to be listening. Why you not? You need to be on the upline team. You don't need to be on their team. Be on the upline team, because upline know what they're talking about, right? And they lived it through their experiences. So if you would become wealthy, because this is going to happen, a whole bunch of people are going to come into your life and try to tell you what to do with your money. The key is to learn who to listen to. That's called discernment. Everybody put it down, so discern. That's called discernment. That's DISCERN. Or we could also call it wisdom. The wisdom to discern who to listen to, who not to listen to. You're going to listen to somebody. What does it matter who you listen to? So you had to learn to take advice from those who are competent through their own experiences. That's key. Through their own, ain't something they read in the book, it's something that they did. It ain't something they got theory about, it's something that they did. They got proof of work. Learn to seek advice from those who are competent through their own experience to give it. And then the third lesson that he had to not only, when we talk about learning, again, he went through a whole year or 2 years of this. This is not just learning. This is practicing. This is creating new habits. This is developing. This is becoming. Third lesson. So once you learn how to spend less than you earn, and once you learn who to listen to as it relates to whatever it is you're trying to do with your money, then you get to a point where you've leveled up financially. Now you learn how to make money work for you. Now get this, how simple this is and how jacked up it is. The reason why I say jacked up, because think about this. Think about how many people are trying to learn how to make their money work for them, but they have not learned how to spend less than they earn. Uh-oh. That would be out of order. Now, there's nothing wrong with learning something new, but man, let's do first things first. Everybody put in console first things first. It's okay. It's cool. Because see, for me, I got motivated or inspired to do number one because I saw number three. I was like, oh shit. Yeah, my money can work for me for real. Did your money just make $100? Did your money yesterday my money made $74, and I ain't had to do nothing but let my money go to work. And there's other people see that. And then they say, well, wait, I need to get into that game. So maybe it might inspire you or motivate you, but it still is step one. Learning how to live on less than you earn. First things first. So what some of us do, we try to skip steps. We them type of children. We try to skip steps. Say, man, I'm going to pay somebody over here and pay somebody over here. And then now I'm over here learning how to make my money work for me, but I really ain't got no money. And I still haven't fixed the biggest detriment to my wealth is my habits. And I still haven't fixed this habit of spending less than I earn. I spend more than I earn. So although I'm learning how to make my money work for me, I haven't fixed the big problem, which is living on less than I earn. You see the problem? Most people want to get to the earning and they want to get to the returning, but they want to skip the learning. Uh-oh. Let me say that again. Many people want to get to the earning. Very few want to get to the returning. Almost nobody wants to do the learning. You see why we are where we are? Matter of fact, King Amar brought it up. He said the second part of that scripture that our people perish for lack of knowledge is that the reason why they perish is because they reject knowledge. They skip the learning. And they try to get to the earning, which we're pretty good at. We know how to work hard. We know how to get a check, a paycheck, and all that stuff. And we try to get to the earning. That's why you find so many of us playing lottery, which has terrible odds, some of the worst odds ever. But yet we go in there and play that lottery because we're trying to get to the earning. We're skipping the learning. We're skipping the learning. So what do I teach? I teach do first things first. There's a science to getting rich. There's an art. There's a science to it. There's a process to it. And it begins in your mind. So unless you've learned to make gold work for you or money work for you, you've taught yourself how to acquire money. Everybody put in console, teach myself. You've taught yourself. All I did was give you the lesson. All I did was kind of give you some advice. You had to go out here and teach yourself. Here's another thing. Teach yourself. Listen, and I'm not trying to, I'm just going to be honest. I just want to think about however old you are, right? You 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, and what eludes some of us is that we actually have the ability to teach ourselves. Our ancestors showed us this. When they got freed from slavery, they taught themselves how to read and how to write. You think the white folk was over here like, oh, y'all free now. Oh, let me go ahead and show y'all how to read and write. No, that's not how it happened. They said, well, we're free to go do anything we want to do, or almost. One of the things that we want to do is learn how to read and write. We need to learn the language that's in this world or in this society that we're in. Teach yourself. But see, many of us, we cop out of teaching ourselves. Oh, it's too hard. Oh, I'm going to be here for too long. No, that comes with education, time invested, right? So teach yourself. But we want, get it, again, we're talking about 45, 50, 55, 60-year-old people who want to be handheld all the way through some process. Do you understand? You are an adult, but you want your hand held through this whole process. Now I get it at the beginning. It's brand new. Get a little hand holding, but not after day one, not after day 5. No, you are an adult. I think. I mean, I don't know. Somebody define adult to me. I don't know what that is. What is an adult? Right? Teach yourself. Now, would you agree that you have the ability in 2020 that our ancestors fought for us to be able to get to a position where we can read and we can write? So as long as you have the ability to read and write and talk, you can pretty much learn anything that you want to learn. And you can actually teach yourself it as well, because you can comprehend. Everybody put it down, so comprehend. The one thing about me is I don't let nobody cop out of their ability to think. And I know that we don't use our brain all the time, and it's probably been a while. Our brain is in hibernation mode. But I'm still am not convinced that you can't think. I'm not convinced that you can't find whatever it is that you're looking for if you look hard enough, because the book says if you seek, you'll find. So I'm going to believe the book over you. Because you've been lying to yourself for how long? I don't know. It's been a while. You've been lying to yourself for a long time now. I mean, you've been lying to yourself. You've been lying to yourself for so long that you actually believe some of the ish that come out of your mouth. You've gotten to a point where you believe your own lie about yourself. Well, I'm here to tell you that's not true. Whatever you've been telling yourself, some of it could be true, because hopefully you've been telling yourself good stuff. Hopefully you've been telling yourself that you're great. Hopefully you've been telling yourself that you're fearfully and wonderful made. Hopefully you've been telling yourself that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Hopefully you've been telling yourself that I am able. Everybody put it down, so I am able. I'm able. I can do this. I got this. Whatever. But if you've been lying to yourself and to the point that you become delusional, you have deluded yourself to believe that you're not worthy, then that could be a problem. That's called stinking thinking. And so what do we do in the Black Billionaires Club? That's what we do. 80% of what we do in the Black Billionaires Club is to fix stinking thinking. It didn't happen overnight. It ain't going to be fixed overnight. But we are doing our best to fix stinking thinking. You absolutely are able to teach yourself. Now, you may not teach yourself as fast as I teach myself, but that don't matter. There's something to be said about a person who takes the time to learn what they want to learn, and they learn it. How powerful is that? In the comments below, I'd like for you to answer this question and tell me this. When you finally get whatever it is that you've been trying to get, you finally get it, like the light bulb comes, you're like, oh, I get it now. Or, I got it. I learned it. Oh, yeah, I passed the test. When you take that test of life and you pass, I want you to give me one word in the comments below that identifies how that makes you feel. when the test of life comes across your path and you ace that test, you're like, I got this. And you get promoted or you graduate to the next level. How does that make you feel? Because we, no matter if you're man or woman, are emotional people. And it's something about when we got this feeling behind us, it make us go through mountains. I mean, it make us go through brick walls. I mean, we turn to Superman and Superwoman. When this feeling gets behind us, when we know that we know that we know that we can do it, when we know to the point that we do it and we succeed and it's behind us and we no longer have to think about it, it makes us feel a particular way. And now this feeling turns us into Superman, turns us into Superwoman, and can't nobody tell us nothing now. Oh, Lord, no. You can still talk to us, but you can't really tell me nothing because it's become an experience. Right? It's become an experience. That's right, King Amari. That's right. I'm able. Oh, Lord, comprehend, right? I'm able. I want to know, how's it feel? We're going to feel, it's Feel Good Friday. It's Feel Good Friday. I've declared it today here on May 8th, 2 days before Mother's Day. It's Feel Good Friday. Life stinks for some because of their thinking. Absolutely. Like that, she said, edified. I feel edified. I feel accomplished, right? Free and elated, right? Empowered, confident. This is how I feel. Woo! So you've taught yourself how to acquire money. You know how to get the money. You've taught yourself how to keep it. And you've taught yourself how to use it. Notice he said, I didn't teach you all this. You taught yourself. I shared a few thoughts. You hit the ground. You started running. You taught yourself how to acquire money. You taught yourself how to keep the money. You taught yourself how to use the money. But he didn't teach himself without wise counsel. And here's where we're messing up when it comes to our children. We're sending our children off to teach themselves about money. The difference, though, is we're sending them off without wise counsel. It's the same. Like, they're going to go out there and make some mistakes. They're going to go out there. Just like we did. We're going to go out there and make some mistakes. They're going to go out there. Then after a year of their mistakes, they come back, and then the wise counsel say, okay, now here's the lesson. Okay, go back out there. Then they go back out there just like we did, and we make some more mistakes. We did learn. We didn't make the same mistake, but we're going to make some different mistakes. Then we're going to come back after a year, get in front of our wise counsel, and they're going to say, okay, here's the lesson. Go back out there. Everybody playing console, go back out there. Right now, I want you to think about your children, if you have any. If you don't, I want you to think about your nieces and your nephews. And ask yourself, am I going to be the person where the buck stops? Well, I'm going to ensure that the next generation, my kids, my nieces, my nephews, whoever I'm connected to, I'm going to make sure that when they go off, because they are going to go off, when they come back, they're going to get some wise counsel when it comes to money. Now, if it's not going to be you that brings the wise counsel, will you hire someone to bring the wise counsel? Will you go get the rich uncle or the rich your sister or the rich auntie or the rich grandpa or the rich grand? Will you go get the rich folk that you connected to and say, can you not only teach my children, can you teach me too? Or are we going to do like we've been doing in our community and say, you know what? I am an adult. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Pride comes before the fall. I'm filled with ego. I pay the bills in this house. All that hogwash. And send our children right back out to do the same thing that we did. And the cycle continues. Says, I feel fulfilled. I feel like a badass. You know what, Crystal? You are a badass. Can you send me? Listen, Crystal, you're going to have to learn how to talk. I mean, you just be out there doing and building and creating. You and Lisa Puerto are similar. Y'all do all this stuff. But you gotta get with people to help you to show the stuff. All this wonderful stuff. Crystal got a whole CBD store, by the way. She ain't never going to really show up in the group. I mean, she hit me up every now and again, like, yo, take a look at what we got now. And I'll be like, damn, Crystal, where this come from? Oh, I've been working. Will you show up long enough so that we can bask in your creative glory? Because you got the power to create wealth. But my goodness, if a tree falls in a forest and no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound? And Crystal, it's time for you to make some noise, baby. I'm just gonna tell you, I'm gonna call you out this morning because I got you here. It's time for you to make some noise. You got too much. Listen. If we could just corral this woman in the BBC, all of us would be rich. People like that. What she done made now? She like a mad scientist or something. I don't know. She just got it. This woman is seriously. I'm telling the truth. Y'all don't know. Y'all ain't seen some of the stuff that she done made. I'm like, my goodness. Okay. She a badass. She a bad mama jamma. I'm trying to tell you. Okay. Go back out there. Right? Teach me, teach them, teach us, break the cycle. Right? Teach me. I love that. Teach me, teach them, teach us, break the cycle. All right? So he said to him, right? You taught yourself how to acquire money. How many guys have done that? You know how to get some money, right? Your back man business against the wall. Bills might be due. You know what I'm saying? You know how to go out there and get it, right? But have we taught ourselves how to keep it? See, we got the first part. Black folk, generally speaking, we got the first part. We know how to get the money. We got $1.3 trillion in spending power. We know how to get the money. Have we learned how to keep it? Have we learned how to do something simple like this, which is save? And then the other part that we're teaching the Black Billionaires Club is how to use it. How to use it. Therefore, you are competent for a responsible position because you've learned how to acquire, because you've learned how to keep, and because you learn how to use. Acquire, keep, and use. Everybody put that in the comments below. Acquire, keep, and use. Acquire, keep, and use. If you master these three things as it relates to money, you become responsible. You become eligible for a responsible position. Not just because you are 35 years old and you have a son, does that make you the best father? Right? When you become competent, when you learn how to acquire, keep, and use, you are now competent for a responsible position. Think about this for a second, especially for the brothers. I mean, our sisters, y'all doing a bang-up job, and I know some of y'all try to beat a man because y'all got to and all this stuff, dynamics and single parents and all this stuff. I want to talk to the brothers who are considered to be the providers. If you learn how to acquire, which we don't have a problem doing, you learn how to keep, which we seem to not know how to do, and then we learn how to use. And we become competent for a responsible position like husband, a responsible position like father, a responsible position. How much better would our family structure? How much better would our community be? How many more homes would not be broken because the money problem is fixed? I'm talking to the brothers. I'm just saying. I mean, our sisters, but brothers, help me out. For real. If we're supposed to be the providers, and I know structures are changing and all that stuff, but I'm just talking about traditionally speaking. If the brothers learn how to acquire, learn how to keep, learn how to use, become competent for a responsible position like husband and like father, would not our homes be in a better position? Would not our marriages be in a better position? Because the money problem is no problem at all. The money problem is no problem at all. What say you, fellas? Brothers? Locking arms? I'm putting the charge out to the men. Yeah, sisters, I want y'all to do it too. If y'all just, I'm talking to the brother. I want the men of the Black community to fix the money problem. Here's what I'm saying to you, brothers. Simply decide that you are going to take charge and you're going to get your family back. Now, of course, we love the support. And I'm not saying the sisters don't do the same thing. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm specifically talking to the men right now. Let's fix the money problem by teaching ourselves how to acquire, teaching ourselves how to keep, teaching ourselves how to use, so that we can be competent for a responsible position. So he said to his son, his student, I'm becoming an old man. My sons think only of spending and give no thought to earning. My interests are great, and I fear too much for me to look after. If you will go to Nippur and look after my lands there, I shall make you my partner, and you shall share my estate. Notice he said, man, I can't trust my sons. You're not even my son, and you do what I tell you to do. My children won't even do what I tell them to do. They're not listening to me. I can't leave my estate to my children. Think about how that might feel as a parent. It's not a good decision for me to leave my estate to my kids. I know my kids. It ain't gonna work out well for them. But you, if you who has learned, if you who has been my student for these past 4 years, I trust you. I've seen your maturation. I've seen you develop. I'll make you my partner. And you'll share in my estate. You'll share in my estate. Man, how beautiful that is to get to a position where you're competent for a responsible position. And someone sees your growth and development. And they give you an opportunity to become a partner and share in their estate. Sometimes it's not necessarily about you actually getting so freaking wealthy in it of your own. Sometimes you are around the right people and you've displayed the right tangibles. And they say, I can't take this with me, but what I can do is leave it to you because I trust you when it comes to money. See, sometimes I want you guys to really understand what I just said. Because many of us, for all we know is to work hard. All we know is to pick cotton. There's some people who get rich by default. Just because they're around the right people at the right time, they learn the right lessons. They're a great follower. And by default, they're around the right people at the right time, and the money is transferred to them because they're good stewards. They're good managers. They've learned how to acquire in their own way. They've learned how to manage in their own way. They learned how to use in their own way, no matter how small or big. And if you are, what's the term? Something about if you're responsible with little, I'll make you ruler over many. Something like that. In the comments below, I'd like for you to share something that you learned today. I told you, this is my book. Where we at? We're on page number 22. Woo, Lord, I don't know how long we're going to be in this book, but y'all learning something, though. Do you see why I continue to recommend that you get this book? Of all the books that's been written on finances, this is the book. I'm simply asking you to come in the comments below. Of course, if you learn something, you put pineapples. You know how we do. But I'm simply asking you, was this worth your time today and why? Was it worth your time and why? Feel Good Friday. Let me catch up on these comments. Of course, we got to go out feeling good. Yeah, we got to go out feeling good. All right. Acquire how? Oh, Lord. Okay. Break the cycle. That's right. Make some noise, Crystal. Know how to get the money, keep it invested. All right. Acquire, keep, and use. Acquire, keep, and use. Acquire, keep, and use. Blessing to you, Queen Siobhan. True, true, true for me sometimes. Acquire, keep, and use. Acquire, keep, and use. Yes, I've come to understand. That's right. We cannot skip the learning. Right. Facts, Mr. Consistent. Facts. Teach myself. Community would be better. Absolutely, Mr. Consistent, man. We will have a strong financial foundation. Absolutely. Ogle Nozo. You're tagging some people. Okay, gotcha. But if your learning depends on your mortality, then it's a different thing. Absolutely. Comprehend. As men, it's best to fix the money problem before signing a marriage Ooh, Lord, Sally. Oh man, we're going to have some brother discussions with the young folk, the young brothers. All right, we bring them in, man. It's best. That's all we can tell them. It's best to fix the money problem before you get married. Yeah. Oh, we got some wisdom coming out here, man. You went all the way in today, all facts. I will definitely get with you in a few weeks. Thank you for caring. Camera shy in Georgia. I got you. You got to get on camera. I'll be on camera. I'll be your camera guy. Yeah, I like it. Just put the stuff out. I'll put it out there. That's what I'm saying. You ain't got to get in front of the camera. See, that's how you partner. You say, I ain't good with that stuff. I am good with this. I can make this stuff do all this. And then if I show you that it do all this, then you go out and you tell the world. And I just keep doing all the stuff that I do in my mad scientist laboratory. Taking time in the book, teacher. We must go deeper. Must dig deeper. Absolutely, man. Hey there. How are you? Absolutely. Mr. Consistent, man, I tag my nephews and cousins. Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to take our time with this, man. We're going to take our time with the richest man in Babylon. So it's Feel Good Friday, okay? Before we close this thing out, I know we're a little bit longer, but it's Feel Good Friday. In the comments below, I'd like for you to share one thing that you feel good about today. Share one thing that you feel good about today. It's Feel Good Friday, people. We can't go out like that. We got to go out on a positive note, feeling good in the hood. What's one thing that you feel good about today? Oh, man, I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to the day. I mean, this is just the beginning. I mean, I got my whole little day planned out. I ain't really got no whole full schedule. I can just kind of move around as I want to move around, feeling free as a bird, but still making money. That's what I do. But you know what I'm saying? Making money is my hobby. That's just my hobby. That's fun for me. But I ain't on nobody's time. You know what? Let me tell you what I feel good about. Somebody asked me earlier today and said, well, what if you say ERGJ, what does retirement look like for you? And I was like, that's a great question. What does retirement look like for me? And then the more I thought about it, then I realized, saying, you know what? I'm already retired. And what I will be doing in retirement, I'm already doing. I walked away from corporate America 10 years ago. When I walked away from corporate America, I didn't realize I was retired then. I don't see myself always on the golf course. I don't see myself always playing tennis or nothing like that. I see myself doing exactly what I'm doing to the day that I die. Helping Black folk get free financially. I'm already retired. I'm just waiting on my money to catch up. I'm telling you, I'm already retired. I'm just waiting on I'm waiting on the zeros to catch up because, you know, that take a little bit more time. Good morning to you, Wendell Washington. How are you, man? What do you feel good about today? Right? You woke up on the right side of the bed. You're looking forward. You're expecting things to happen. Great things are supposed to happen to me. Oh, yeah. Great things are supposed to happen to me. Feel good to be living. Right. Yes, indeed. Right. Feel good today that I've decided to learn and practice. Right. What do you feel good about? Great things are supposed to happen to me. I feel good that I'm not skipping steps. Today is a great day. Oh, why? Boom, boom, boom. Put it on, boom, 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 boom. As if Frank, thanks so much for joining, Mr. Oh, that's a cousin there. Well, I feel good to be a part of the BBC. You don't slack teaching about money. Great things are supposed to happen to me. Anybody else? What do you feel good about today? It's Feel Good Friday. What do you feel good about? I feel good. Woo! What now? So good. So good. I got you. So good. Feel good to know that we're building generational wealth. Absolutely. Well, my beautiful brothers and sisters, billionaires in training, right? Alicia, island sweetheart. I feel good about making time to learn more, to build. Look at that. I like what you just said. I made time to do this. A lot of stuff that's been on my schedule. A lot of things I could have been doing at 9 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, but I made time to be here. I made time to be here. We all got 24 hours in a day. It all comes down to what we choose to do with our time. This is the New Black Wall Street, the Money and Power Show. And I'm your host, ERGJ, your certified financial educator. And I want you guys to remember this, that it takes a village. It starts with us. Let's build as we climb together. We all we got, beautiful people. Matter of fact, we all we need. And thank God, that's more than enough. Y'all know what time it is. It's time to get up, to get out, and go get something. Mr. DJ, hit the music.
The New Black Wall Street. Thanks you for joining the show. We gave a lot of great tips, but it's time to go. Take the knowledge we shared, hope you use it and grow. We'll see you all there at the next episode of The New Black Wall Street. The New Black Wall Street.